It's official, ladies and gentlemen. OG Bloodline versus the new Bloodline inside War Games at Survivor Series 2024. But if you've watched WWE TV over the past week, Solo Sikoa and Jimmy Uso have made something quite perfectly clear. War Games isn't 4 versus 4. No, at this particular moment, we know for the new Bloodline, we have Solo Sikoa, Tonga Loa, Tama Tonga, and Jacob Fatu. For the OG Bloodline, we have Roman Reigns, Jey Uso, Jimmy Uso, and Sami Zayn. Well, we're going to need one extra member for both teams because Solo Sikoa wanted Sami Zayn to be the 5th member of his team, and on Raw, Jimmy Uso again reminded us we need a 5th member for both teams. Of course, Sami Zayn, he had a pick. He went for Seth freaking Rollins, who rejected Sami Zayn. Of course, Solo also made a play for Seth later in the evening on Raw, which Seth rejected again. And of course, well, Jimmy Uso decided to have a conversation with one Bronbreaker. Interesting conversation, that one indeed. So who is going to be the 5th member for both War Games teams? I'm personally excited. I think there are a number of different options that I'm going to go through on this particular video. Some involving current feuds in WWE, some involving other members of the Bloodline. I mean, it can't be ruled out, right, that we're going to get a Hicko or a Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson that could come involved for this. But let's start off with what we already know. Obviously, Seth freaking Rollins is a target for Sami's team and was a target for Solo's team as well. Seth has a certain history with one Roman Reigns. He has said that the next time he will be in a ring with Roman Reigns, it will be to stomp his head in the ground. Now, I still don't believe that Seth would ever join Solo Sikoa's team, so I think that's something that could be ruled out. However, everyone that's so far joined Roman on the road to Survivor Series has said that they weren't going to get involved with this and again find their way to make their own terms, and usually the new Bloodline don't react well to being told no. So there is a possibility that Seth Rollins, who has a match with Bronson Reed next Monday on Raw, could be cost that match thanks to Solo Sikoa, because it's a double booking of Monday Night Raw for starters, so everyone that was under the roof on this week's Raw will be under the roof for next week's Raw because it's already been recorded and I don't like spoilers, so I don't know what's happened at this particular time. But if I had to make an educated guess, I would say Bronson Reed is going to win the second match. Solo Sikoa could be that reason for the reason why. Obviously, Jacob Fatu wanted to get to Seth Rollins when, of course, Solo was being called a wannabe tribal chief. So it wouldn't surprise me for that moment. And obviously, if you then get Seth that could be on Roman's team, I mentioned about feuds that are taking place in WWE right now, that could easily align Bronson Reed to going to Solo Sikoa's team. Now, that's a natural way then to have Seth and Bronson continue their feud inside War Games. Also, it evens up the numbers to 5 on 5. Now, for me, the likelihood of this one, if I had to predict it right now, seems pretty high because of the fact that, like I said, it's something we've had presented to us on WWE TV. So I'm going to say the chance of this one are a 7 out of 10 for taking place for War Games. But another person that could slide easily into the OG Bloodline side is someone that's teamed with Roman Reigns just recently at Bad Blood. I'm talking about the undisputed WWE champion, the American Nightmare, Cody Rhodes, because, well, if he's aligned himself with Roman once before, what's to say when the going gets tough that Roman has to swallow his pride and call for Cody one more time. Now, Cody said he's out of the Bloodline stuff and he's tried to pull himself away. He's had issues going on with Kevin Owens. He's had to watch and sit what's happened with Randy Orton as well, because KO and Randy have had a feud. KO has now seemingly, I think, put Randy on the shelf, obviously with the attack that took place at Crown Jewel, which of course led to the jump off the barricade that put them an elbow drop through the table for Randy Orton as well. And of course, Randy was on SmackDown this past week in Albany, New York, but of course he did suffer a pile driver, and I think this time Randy has been written out of WWE TV. So we could simply see Cody versus KO, or we can take Cody to be on the OG Bloodline side, as I've already mentioned, and someone that is so against Roman Reigns, the old Bloodline that's been around before, and someone that's recently turned heel. Could Kevin Owens, who's actually been feuding with the new Bloodline for most of the year, end up on Solo Sikoa's team? Now, for me, That's fascinating. That's really interesting TV, because it's almost the case of the enemy of my enemy is my friend. It's to the point he can't look past what he's been through with Roman Reigns over the past 4 years, that even though he's actually been going to war still with the Bloodline this year, but with the new variation of it, he's willing to team with that side to actually get at Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns. For me, I actually really think that this would be my favoured idea for WWE to do at this point going into the men's War Games match, but as it's not been presented on TV as of yet, for me, Kevin Owens is also portraying himself as the good guy in this scenario, which is also fun for the character and for TV. He's had the vest that said Kevin is right. You would imagine that if KO really believes himself to be right and everybody else is wrong, including the fan base, that still morally he shouldn't want to be involved in anything that's to do with the Bloodline. However, if Cody does accept an olive branch, there is an opportunity that maybe, just maybe, KO may actually swallow his pride and go and be with the other side. So, if Cody was to be on Roman's team and KO was to be on Solo's team, let's give that a rated chance. Look, my heart says a 10 because I want it to happen. But if I'm going to be honest with you, again, I think we have to go with a 7. I may even drop it to a 6. I think there's logic in it, but at the same time, we'll have to wait and see what happens. But if KO, for example, gets suspended, gets taken away, I feel Cody would be a good shout to be on that side. And maybe, just maybe, that's when we can start looking to the new Bloodline to look at family. Because if they go up and down the roster and they can't find people to go with them, I mentioned the names already, a debuting Hicko could be good for the War Games match, because it's a new member of the Bloodline. It's exciting, it's something different. You almost feel that the Romans team is unprepared. It balances the odds almost back into the new Bloodline's favour, because you imagine Roman's team is going to be heavy favourites currently going into Survivor Series. So to even up the odds, you need to have, in my opinion, either a debuting guy that could be a monster in WWE. Hicko could be almost like a similar style structure and booking force as a Jacob Fatu, for example. Or you bring in Dwayne The Rock Johnson, because if Dwayne The Rock Johnson is going to take on either Roman Reigns or Cody Rhodes at WrestleMania, or the triple threat match for that matter, this could be the place to start things off and build up, especially if Solo keeps his 15 member as a surprise. My goodness, the electricity that would go through the place if The Rock was to come in to War Games as a 5th member, as a surprise, as the final entrant for the bad guys, would be something that would be incredible. You probably could see Roman's face, probably even Cody's as well, with shock and horror of the fact that they'd have to take on the final boss in War Games. So for me, would really like to see that happen as well. I think it would be fascinating. Look, I almost want this as much as the last one. For The Rock, realistic terms, I'm going to go for like a 3 or a 4 at this time, just because we haven't been given a tease of an idea that that's going to happen as of yet. But look, again, something I would really want to see. As for Hicko, rumors are suggesting he's starting NXT, so I'm going to put this one at like a 2 out of 10, but at the same time, I do think that there is logic that Solo shouldn't really be able to find someone from the WWE roster to be on his team, because of the fact that they have been attacking everybody and they've been trying to take over the company again. No one wants to be surrounded around that, so I think the family idea is something certainly to keep an eye on. Now, one name I should discuss just before I give a prediction, and this is for the OG Bloodline side, is Bronbreaker. Now, why is Bronbreaker being singled out? Well, do you remember that time in NXT when Paul Heyman, the wise man, was in the corner for Bronbreaker for one match? I believe it was John Cena that was in Carmelo Hayes' corner on the other side. Well, they said at that time, Paul Heyman, that there was a bright future for Bronbreaker, and it's just kind of fun with the continuity. It's almost long-term storytelling, something that I think as an Easter egg, a lot of people may have forgotten about and wouldn't understand the reasoning of why Bronbreaker would be selected. But for me, I think it's a really fun concept and really fun idea. I think the most exciting part about this as well is, why would Bronbreaker be aligned with them, or why would he have been selected to do so? Because this could be a Jimmy play, but something tells me this could be a Roman play, and if it's a Roman play, maybe it's a wise man play, because what if Paul Heyman was to return at Survivor Series to be the wise man, almost the, you know, the man with the master plan for the OG Bloodline to walk in and to walk out of War Games with the W. That for me would be a big moment as well. We've not seen Paul Heyman since the summer after the new Bloodline put him through a table in Madison Square Garden. Blasphemy, that is indeed. But at the same time, I'd love to see Paul Heyman make the return. I think Bronbreaker is certainly a fun option to see. For me, Bron is a badass. Bron is he's a bad guy technically. He's just feuded with Jey Uso on Monday Night Raw over the Intercontinental Championship. A lack of respect and that sort of stuff. I find it hard to believe he's actually going to be on Roman's team. If anything, he could be on Solo's team. That wouldn't surprise me. That would be a unique twist. Someone that actually Jimmy went for actually went to the other side. That could be certainly a fun way to go. Chances of seeing Bronbreaker in War Games, I mean, I'm going to give it a 5 out of 10. Again, it's been presented on TV to us, so there's certainly half a chance it could happen, but as a prediction, I'm not going to predict Bronbreaker will be there. He's got something going with Sheamus right now with the Intercontinental title as well, so unless Sheamus ends up on this Sunday as well, you start making arguments for other people to be in this War Games, which I don't see Sheamus being there. It doesn't work for me. So look, you also are here for a prediction. I can give you all these different names that we know that I can speculate everyone, give a rate out of 10, but you come in, you clicked on this thumbnail, you clicked on this video for a prediction. You want me to stick my neck out and say who I think it's going to be. Some of the options have said that I want to happen more, but as I'm going to give a prediction, as I see as of right now of what we've seen on WWE TV, it only makes sense for Seth freaking Rollins to be on the OG Bloodline team right this second. And on the heel side, I will go with Bronson Reed, especially if Solo is a factor next week in the match between Seth and Bronson Reed on Monday Night Raw. Look, that's the one that I think. The one that I want is Cody and KO, and to be fair, I think the Rock option is pretty exciting as well. But I'm going to stick with Seth and Bronson for now. Let me know who you think will be the 5th member for the OG Bloodline and for the new Bloodline in the comments below right now. If you've enjoyed this video, hit the like button, share with a friend, and subscribe if you're new here as well. How do you think I feel the Bloodline storyline is going to end? There's a long-term vision in my fantasy book in mind, and if you want to see how that is going to play out, click on this video below right now. Take care, thanks for watching, I'll see you next time.